Shoes are more important than we can ever realize. Shoes are transportation. I never saw so many kids with one foot because they'll get a small infection and it results in amputation. The thorn in Kenya, they die within seconds. In Cameroon and Ghana, it's the scorpions, and they're everywhere. There's things on the ground that kill, parasites, kill. Dangerous. What if you can change the world for someone? You can, and when you do, the world changes for you. Getting shoes is easy. We get thousands of shoes a day. People think when they give us shoes, they've actually changed someone's life in Haiti or in Africa or in Cambodia. They have not. They've only given us shoes in this warehouse. And if you look around, you walk in here and everyone's really impressed. Wow, you got all these shoes in here. That's great, but if I was really good, the shoes would be processed, packaged, shipped, and delivered to where they're most needed. Because the cost to process these shoes can cost us, for instance, we spend sometimes $500 a day washing 2,000 pairs of shoes. That's from A to Z, the bleach, the detergent, blah, blah, blah. We bring them back here to lay them out so they air dry. And then the boxing, the tape, the labeling. Then the shipping is a whole other story. For instance, to go to Uganda, it costs us up to $14,000 in shipping. Cameroon, I think, is $850. Ghana's $850. Kenya's $10. Haiti is $7. To process a 40-foot container, it costs us a couple bucks a pair at times. So it can be anywhere between 15 and 25 grand just to process. And then people think that once they arrive, that everyone's going to donate these trucks and vehicles and they're going to be distributed all over these communities, which are dozens of villages. I don't know how they think they're getting around, but we have to pay for gas and rent a truck or whatever, and hire locals. We try to send the shoes specific to the need of the location and what people desire. That's what giving is, what they want, not what we feel like giving or have extra of. We're working on a shipment to Manila, Philippines, and when we asked them what they wanted, it was flip-flops. And people say to me, would they rather have gym shoes? It's 90 degrees in the shade there, and it's humid. They want flip-flops. We send a lot of boots to the garbage dumps. Walking through sewage and garbage causes infections to feet. So a lot of the little Wally boots we collect, they go to garbage dumps in Ecuador, Peru, Mexico. Jesse White was my contact to American Airlines, and they're both with me since. He's my board member of 11 years and American Airlines, a sponsor of 11 years.
American gets involved with Share Our Souls in two different ways. One is what you see here today. We're actually behind me. You see a number of the members of the American Airlines Central Division who are from the 15-state area throughout the country, whereby we come out today to do the actual work here in the warehouse. But the second part is getting the shoes to the final destination. When you take a look at the places that Mona serves around the world, we fly to many of those places. Then we have American Airlines and American Eagle employees throughout the world, whether they're at the airports in Chicago, in Miami, in Quito, Ecuador, in Guatemala, in Haiti, where our employees really all along the steps of the transportation from where it starts here in Chicago to our gateway to the final winter destination. The American Airlines employees are partnering with Mona and Share Our Souls to get these shoes to the people who need them.
Mona spent a lot of time in the very beginning working with government officials in foreign countries in order to get clearance to bring the shoes into the country. And this was her objective in going to Ecuador, to meet somebody who would be able to help. We had visited with some church groups. We went to the city dump and we delivered shoes, and we saw all these very, very poor people, very proud that they had kept their families intact. But they had no running water. The children were running around without shoes and dirty, and they actually lived and recycled on the dump. Another guest at the hotel, who happened to be a member of the government in Ecuador, he had studied at Northwestern University. So we immediately had a Chicago contact, and by the end of that day, the first assistant to the new vice president for the country was picking us up in her truck and taking us to work out how we might be able to get some relief supplies into the country. Things happen that way with Mona. She just keeps asking and asking until she gets the right answers, and she's very persistent.
And while I was running on a road in this village called Patin, it's a rock road, and I have a $100 pair of gym shoes on. Alongside of the road, these little kids were running, and they didn't have shoes on, but they had like black goo on the bottom of their feet. And I said to one of the runners, "What's up with these kids' shoes? You know, what's up with their feet?" He said they put layers of tar on the bottom, the soles of their feet, to use as shoes. And I could not get these feet out of my head. So I told my kids, and my youngest daughter was the first one to give me a pair of shoes.
When I gave my mom the shoes, I was 7, and I gave her 2 shoes. I only had 3 pairs, but I thought it was important knowing that there are other kids around the world who didn't have any and who are in need of them to go to school, for transportation, ways to get food and water. So I felt the need to give the shoes to my mom.
But it's not only about the shoes, it's a health issue too in these locations. I never saw so many kids with one foot, because they'll get a small infection and it results in amputation.
Injury is often associated with an infection. So if you get a thorn in your foot, you can get an infection, which can be pretty devastating for people who are largely rely on getting around. You know, they don't have cars, and buses are few and far between. They don't have bicycles, so getting around, you've got to use your feet and legs. And so if you have an infection, you know, it's very difficult to hop around. And people in rural communities have long distances to go. They don't have water at their villages often. They have to walk and get water from a communal source and then walk back, and it can be miles each way. So this can be a devastating problem if they get an injury or infection in their foot, which will prevent them from just getting basic needs.
In Haiti, their ceilings, everything is made out of concrete. When people heard the rumble in Haiti, they ran inside of their houses, the ones that had them. So that's why in Port-au-Prince, where most of the ceilings are cement, they were crushed. And in the villages, they're all like straw huts. So they're fine. But even the really poor people have cement, but that didn't hit them as bad. I don't know what to expect now. It's gotten bad. A lot of people have had their limbs amputated. So I don't know what I'm gonna see. Malaria is at a high now after rainy season, of course. Dengue fever is daytime biters, it's at a high. Cholera from dead bodies. So contaminated water, parasites are everywhere. People walk and get parasites from the bottom of their feet.
They basically lost everything. And from my perspective, lost everything plus have serious injuries. And so something like putting a shoe on a foot can keep it from getting contaminated, because now you have raw sewage, bacteria, parasites, you know, debris, all of these abnormal things compounding an already poor country with less than optimal shoe wear or conditions. Things that we do, for example, to help, say somebody comes in with a bad wound infection because of the quake or an injury, they've lost everything, they've got either no shoe or a shoe that's too big or too small on the foot. You try to treat that infection, that has to heal and that has to be protected in order for that one person or patient to then move on, and then you can focus on another one. And that only happens if all of those things line up in a row and work well. So if you have nothing then to discharge that patient with, to put on their foot, you might as well not have done it. right? So something like shoes, as simple as shoes, you will minimize greatly all kinds of disease, injury. So that in and of itself is a tremendous asset to a country like this. So vitally important. And, you know, do people think of things as simple as that?
We don't get any grants. We have not gotten any yet because I never wanted to share your souls about the money. Say, for instance, say I had a group that was working in my yard and they go, Miss Purdy, we just gave you 100 pairs of shoes and now we want to give you money. I would be the first to say, I don't want your money. I want your time and your hearts. I'll do everything with the money. And even though I'm a hairdresser and a single mom with very little, I do a lot with very little. So the board, I think I have the board members and the support I have because when I travel, I don't stay at five-star hotels. I stay with the locals because I want to know what they need. I want to talk about them so I come back and report to all of you what I learned. You know, I want to be the catalyst. So I didn't want the money for 10 years. Now I want the money because now I'm realizing we can do a hell of a lot more with more money. So now don't give me shoes and don't look at me without giving me some money.